We're now rolling into the public portion. Good afternoon. The board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now being called to order. Today's in-person meeting is also being held virtually via teleconference with the proceedings live, streamed from the Port Authority website. On March 6th, the Audit Committee and Committees on Finance met in executive. Earlier today, the Committees on Finance and the Committees on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management met in public. Their reports will be filed with the official minutes of today's board meeting. The Commissioners also met in executive earlier today to discuss matters related to the security or public safety, matters related to the purchase, sale, or lease of real property where disclosure would affect the value thereof, or the public interest, matters related to personnel or personnel procedures, and to discuss and act upon matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts for proposals. Let us start the meeting by, on a somber note. We lost two members of our Port Authority family who passed away recently. We lost Yusamamel Un, an administrator in the aviation department working at Newark Liberty International, who had 20 years of experience and service with the Port Authority. We also lost Sandra Lake Sims, a security guard in security operations department with 7 years of Port Authority service. I now ask everyone to stand for a moment of silence and respect their families and remember our colleagues. And so we go from a little somber to a little bit of a celebration. We're going to honor Janet Cox, who's here today, who left us. I don't know, how long ago? I'm sure you counted the days, Janet.
Left January 26th.
No. So Janet's been with the Port Authority for 40 years, and to all the Sias of the world, my kids of the world, the next generation, if you want to aspire to be somebody great, you aspire to be Janet. I've seen you, Janet, for the last 7 years, and I know Rick's going to go into some of your record and some of your value and things that you've done over the 40 years. And we could talk about whether you're 5 years as the director of management, whether general manager of the ferry, your workforce, your business and workforce development. Your probably the most important was chief of staff to that Rick Cotton fella. I think most importantly, she served under 10 chairs from Alan Sagner to present, and she's going to rank them when she gets up here and say which was the best to the worst, which would be cool. Served under 12 executive directors. From Peter Goldmark to Rick, and served as obviously Rick's chief. And John, I can just tell you there's like a handful of folks that have really been the glue that have held this place together since I've been here. And you represent literally one of the pillars that have made this place stand up, stand tall, and proud in the best of times and in the worst of times. You have been an inspiration to us. You are remarkable and intelligent and wonderful in so many ways. And before we let Rick go into his thing, and we have a couple of cool gifts, and we're going to do a resolution to give you a very special award, a medal, which has been only awarded 106 times in the last 25 years. But I want to put like 4 of your colleagues on the spot. Carol, you're going to start and get up here. I asked Carol and Lily and Clarell to come up, and Jim Heitman just to come up to the microphone, and in a minute just embarrass her and tell us what she means to you and what she has meant to this agency. You could do it far better, Carol, than we have done. So I'm asking you, Carol, we talked about this, didn't we? So Carol, Jim, Clarell, I'm asking you to come up. Lillian, this is not a ask, this is really a command. Come on down. Carol.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for putting me on the spot. I must have missed your call. But let me tell you something, and what you said is absolutely true. To the young ones, if you really want to aspire to be somebody who is great, somebody who is intentional, somebody who supports you, Janet is that person. Janet and I started here about 40 years ago, and I met Janet, and Janet was a glue that kept us together during the challenging times. She was somebody who listened, and when she listened and you told her something, she will give you that look, and you're like, no, that's not the way I should go. You know that look. But I just love her. She has been a pillar in this agency, and she is part of the success of everything that we have achieved. So I am just so proud to stand here to congratulate you, Janet.
Thank you very much. Lil, come on down, Lily.
Oh, Janet, so special. So Janet and I started growing up in the Port Authority in a time long, long ago. And one might say that together we tried to break the glass ceiling, but it was so long ago that it wasn't glass. And, to talk about the strides that have been made in the decades that ensued, Janet always set the example of being a role model, being inclusive, and always pulling others with her and with us to make a difference, not only in the Port Authority, but in the communities we serve. With respect to the stare that you would get with Janet when she was budget director and chief of staff to Rick Cotton, some of us have coined her as having the velvet hammer, which is she always got it done with grace and did the right things right. So honored to be here and wish you life's blessings.
Thank you. Jim Heitman, come on down. Now, Commissioner McCabe, she's been compared to James Baker. That's pretty good company. Jim?
So Janet and I'm a year or two behind Janet in terms of my tenure here, and we followed very different paths, me in engineering, and you heard Janet's arc in her career. But what I remember most is when I was out at Newark Airport and I had to submit budgets, she was in MBD and kept me in line and gave me great guidance going forward. But what I really appreciate most is being in this job so new last year and having the help and assistance from Janet in keeping me out of trouble with Rick and so many other people. That was really just so thoughtful in terms of I didn't have to reach out. She reached out to me, gave me a lot of guidance, and I've heard that same thing from so many people, especially from my predecessor, Huntley, when I took the job, knowing that Janet was going to be an ally to me as she was to him. So really want to congratulate you, thank you, and wish you well.
Great, thanks, Jim. Chlorel, come on down. And Rick, I didn't know that Jim was out of the doghouse. He clearly exonerated himself. Chlorel.
I didn't get the memo either, Chairman. But, I've known Janet, my goodness, it's got to be about 20 years, Janet. We go way back when she headed up, she was the program director for the ferries. And we coordinated in meetings. But I think in two instances, I really remember Janet in terms of really being an inspiration and a collaborator and an assistant in my life in my role here at Port Authority. The first one, of course, is her role as Chief of Staff. And when we'd have meetings with Rick, and Rick would lean into the camera and ask questions, or sometimes not ask questions, she would call up and say, Chlorel, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to get. So she would translate. She had a way. She spoke Rickese and translating exactly the way we needed to prepare our presentation in order to communicate and explain exactly, so that Rick would understand and give us the nod. So that was extremely helpful as I started out in my role as director of PATH. The second one I think really sticks out at me is during COVID. During COVID, Janet and I think also Huntley took a lead role in the agency when after the case with the gentleman that had died, I'm forgetting his name
George
right
Floyd.
now.
George
Thank
Floyd.
you. And the agency, the whole world reverberated around that incident that happened. And thank you to Rick and the chairman that pivoted, because I think we were the only public agency that responded to that and understood that in addition to COVID, in addition to the stresses and the emotional torment that people were going through COVID, now we had this additional racial issue that was circling, and everybody kept quiet about it. But again, thank you for your leadership, Rick. Thank you for your leadership, Chairman, that gave us a voice. And as ODEI took the lead in that in sending out surveys, Janet's voice and Huntley as well, very loud leaders of really helping to understand the framework of what that needed to look in the agency. And thank you, Janet, for that. I remember that so much because I think it gave employees a voice and an opportunity. And I think it took us through, helped us to journey through a point in time that was very challenging. And I applaud you for that very much, Janet. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. So now, Rick, the secret's out. I guess you have a translator. I didn't know that. So I guess Peter Simon's my translator. So I guess behind they have these secret conversations that just prop us up. Good stuff. By the way, I kind of like the impromptu conversations with our staff. We may employ this in the future. Like Libby won't even look at me right now, just so you know. But the reason I didn't ask before, because when we went to your retirement, everyone got up there and they were so authentic and they were so real, and I just knew what was reflected and said then was going to come out today here. And it's really a reflection of you. And I think the way we can end this is go to our leader, Rick, who saw the talent and tried to get you to stay a little longer here, which I think you kind of did. But I'd like to hear from our executive director who saw Janet every single day and just talk about what she meant to us and to you, Rick.
Well, she turned out to be a great translator. It's impossible to characterize what the importance of the role that Janet played in terms of our working relationship. Obviously, I got to know Janet. Janet actually got mad at me very early in our exchanges, but that's a story for another time. I came to know her when she was the head of MDB, and so what you saw in action there was her intellect, her way with people, since she was Dr. No to a lot of people, but she did it with grace and with a reason. And it has to do with her quality and interest in policy, in doing the right thing, and in trying to, in some sense, do what you have to do in a big organization, which is to mediate, to counsel, to really stand your ground if people are just off the right path. But on the other hand, wind up where everyone feels respected, and you wind up at an end which everyone understands and at some level comes to accept. But Janet's role really goes beyond that, and certainly in the role she played for me as chief of staff. Her commitment to want to see things, see the right outcome, and that went across the board. It went in terms of policy, but it also went in terms of how the agency was running. It went very extraordinarily to wanting to see capabilities recognized. She wanted to see people succeed. She identified the up-and-coming talent in the agency, and she almost made it a personal point to try to advance people's careers in ways that they would find satisfying, but which also would inure to the benefit of the agency. She was a real mentor. Came naturally to her, and she's a people person at the same time that she's a tough hombre. And I would include that in terms of how she related to me, because she would tell me when I was off base, and it was helpful. But it's really, it's a special person. It's sort of truth to power. It's sort of, it's really standing up for what you believe and saying to whoever it is, no, you need to think more. You need to think what's really best for the agency and what's important in terms of advancing policy goals. And when Janet speaks, one listens. If you're both of you, certainly if you know her, but in terms of the substance of what she has to say. So for me, it was a very special experience to have her as chief of staff. She's a wonderful colleague. She was a wonderful colleague even before she was chief of staff, because she's committed to getting to the right answer. But as chief of staff, she was in a position to point me in the right direction when I needed it, sort of bring people into the conversation who might have been left out. And it wouldn't be right to finish a discussion about Janet without referring to our priority in terms of diversity and inclusion. And she was deeply committed to that. In some ways, she represented it. But it was, one of the things that I think about in terms of working with someone is in terms of the back and forth. The ideal back and forth is that each conversation takes you to a higher level so that it keeps going up. You may have different points of view, but as you talk about, and particularly with repetitive interactions, everyone is moving up the curve. And Janet was just a wonderful colleague. She's become a wonderful friend. Janet, I salute you.
Thank you very much. So, before we hear from the honoree, we need a motion to adopt the resolution to award the Wagner Distinguished Medal of Honor to Janet D. Cox.
So moved.
We hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Votes are on order. Item has been approved. Janet, the microphone's you, and after you have a few your comments. I'd like to get up here and we're going to present. Rick has a presentation with a flag, and the entire board wants to present a plaque to you, and as well as the actual medal. So, Janet Cox.
I'm going to keep my comments brief. I've had the privilege, the pleasure to serve at the Port Authority, or have served at the Port Authority for 39 and a half years. I tell people I've had an incredible career at the agency. I started as a management trainee leadership fellow. I was in international business development. As people know, I was in Office of Business and Job Opportunity, managed the ferry program. Manage the budget, and thank you, Libby, because I certainly couldn't have done it without, Libby being there in order to show me what to do, and the cooperation of the agency, and just saying when I said, no, I'm so sorry, they had to agree. But the privilege has been to end my career being chief of staff, because you see the agency from a totally different vantage point. And I really want to thank the board, thank the chairman, but most of all, thank Rick, because he gave me an opportunity to just do something different, to really spread my wings in the way that my wings were meant to spread, to look at things from a very high and strategic standpoint and to make a difference. And so in my 39 and a half years, I can look back and say that, I can see the boats running on the harbor, I can look at a ferry terminal, but I can also say that I've made a difference at the organization. But one doesn't make a difference without the support of one's peers, colleagues, because I could always, throughout my career, I could always turn around and look at someone and ask a question. Or someone was there to help me on, keep me encouraged, because one doesn't stay someplace 39 and a half years without the support of their colleagues. And so in leaving, it was a very difficult decision for me. But I can tell you the thrill that I have being at home, turning on the news and seeing all the activity in the Port Authority. I see Tap and Go. I see LaGuardia being the best airport. I hear about the development of the bus terminal. And I can look at all those things and say what a great place the Port Authority is and how proud I am of the Port Authority. and that I had the opportunity to have a wonderful career here. So it is I who thank you for the privilege and the honor. Thank you.
So if I can ask all the commissioners to stand with us. Janet, come on up. Rick, come on up. We'll do two presentations. First with the Medal of Honor. Evie, come on over here, Janet. You take one. And Michelle, why don't you take one? Everyone just kind of fall in. And this is the actual medal. You want to present the Medal of Honor to Robert Wagner. You're the 107th person since 1991. Congratulations. And Michelle's, are you a presentation with the plaque, Michelle? You know, just summarize or just whatever you think.
Throughout her career at the Port Authority, Janet applied the full measure of her talent and intellect in a series of leadership roles, including at the World Trade Center, manager of the agency's ferry program. It goes on and on, all the accolades. Janet was crucial in assisting the agency in navigating recent unprecedented challenges. I want to call that out. Upon the occasion of her retirement, it is with our utmost appreciation and respect that we honor and thank Janet Cox for her public service and essential contributions to the Port Authority and the region it serves. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Eves?
And yes, that deserves an applause. And this is a picture of the Freedom Tower, and I'll just read to you briefly what this says. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the accompanying World Trade Center flag, you'll be presented with the flag, was flown over the World Trade Center site and presented to Janet D. Cox in recognition of her nearly 40 years of dedicated service to the Port Authority and to the bi-state region. And that is marked today, March 21st, 2024.
I'll read the inscription. Janet D. Cox, in appreciation for 39. We got the half.
He wanted the other half.
For 39 years of outstanding service to the Port Authority. Congratulations on your retirement, January 28, 2024.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You all stand up and take one picture with all your
I gotta stand.
wonderful accolades.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. And
How can you?
Oh, mercy. All right.
we'll have to meet at Lincoln Center. Yes, yes.
I'll talk to you later.
Goodness.
No. The opposite. Yep. Alrighty, transitioning into the Executive Director's report and then we're going to see a special video on Newark Terminal A, and then we're going to hear from our special guest right after that video. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am going to start by thanking the employees of the Port Authority, as I always do, and also thank, again, recognizing that 2/3 of our employees are represented employees, thanking the leadership of the unions of which they are members. But it's particularly important to thank the employees as I start this report, because I'm going to focus on three really, from my point of view, quite momentous events that have taken place in the last actually 10 days. And it is the result of the actions and the work and the dedication of the employees of the Port Authority. And I want to start by taking note that our airports have really scaled new heights in the recognition that Terminal A at Newark and the whole new LaGuardia are receiving and have received in the last 10 days. Let me start with Newark Terminal A, and I know, Mr. Chairman, you're going to show a video shortly. But we were privileged to officially announce on Tuesday of this week that Skytrax, the leading airport rating agency in the aviation industry, has awarded Newark Terminal A a 5-star rating. Now, this is no ordinary event. Easy to say, 5-star rating. But think of winning an Oscar. Think of a 3-star Michelin rating. A 5-star Skytrax rating is simply stratospheric. The 5-star recognition puts Terminal A at Newark Liberty quite literally at the forefront of North American airports. That's not an exaggeration. From an agency point of view, there's even more to the story. Only 3 airports in North America have facilities that have received 5-star ratings. LaGuardia Terminal B received a 5-star rating a year ago. But it's really important to think that with the award of a 5-star rating to Newark Terminal A, 2 of the 3 airports in all of North America with a 5-star facility rating are Port Authority airports. To say that that has never happened before, this would be a wild understatement. It is completely unprecedented. It is extraordinary recognition for the agency's airport redevelopment program. It is extraordinary recognition of the efforts of not only our Port Authority airport employees, but also for the multitude of employees of other employers who together, not only the physical new terminal, but also in terms of the way passengers are served as they pass through that terminal. That is what has earned both Terminal A at Newark Liberty and Terminal B at LaGuardia the recognition that they received from Airports Council International, which is the leading rater of Skytrax of airports in the world. Now, the second event of the last 10 days related to our airports also did something that no one, and I don't think there needs to be any qualification, that no one ever thought, certainly 5 or 6 years ago, would ever happen. Last week, the Port Authority announced that Airports Council International, which conducts the industry-leading passenger survey of passengers to rate their experience, awarded LaGuardia with the 2023 Airport Service Quality Award for the best airport in North America in its class, based on an actual survey of more than 4,000 airport passengers. LaGuardia Airport, #1 in a passenger survey. If you were talking about this 10 years ago, you would have said ridiculous. Since major aspects of the airport began opening, LaGuardia had received multiple awards and accolades from professional organizations, beginning with the 2021 UNESCO Prix Versailles. But last week's recognition is a significant and important departure in that it is a direct reflection of passengers' opinions. This survey result is the first time, certainly in decades, that LaGuardia has received a positive ranking in a passenger survey. And again, it is a testament to the efforts of Port Authority workers, our partners, and their colleagues across the airport. The third item that you're going to hear about in a few moments from our Chief Development Officer is the fact that on Tuesday, March 12th, the Port Authority with Governor Kathy Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams announced a new agreement to support the $10 billion replacement of the 73-year-old Midtown bus terminal. I want to thank the mayor and the many members of his administration for working so hard and constructively with the Port Authority to reach this agreement. I also want to thank the elected officials whose districts include the bus terminal, for working with us to work with the city to reach this agreement. Our design for the new bus terminal includes both upgrades and capacity expansion to serve bus commuters, but it also incorporates many benefits for the community, including getting buses off community streets and building better public spaces, public-facing shops, and wider sidewalks, benefits across the board. And I want to give credit where credit is due. These were changes to the plan we published in 2019, and they were advocated by the city, by elected officials, and by community boards. The close of this deal, with the support of the mayor, the community boards, the elected officials, is a critical forward step in funding the $10 billion bus terminal project. We appreciate the support that this agreement with the city provides, and we again thank the mayor for this very important step. I will close simply with a quick note to how our facility operating volumes fared in February of this year. Our airports continued at a record-setting pace, resulting from continued high demand for air travel. Our airports served 10 million passengers, more than any other February in the history of the agency. Additionally, both LaGuardia and Newark set passenger records for the month. At our seaport in January, the port handled 7% more cargo than in the pre-pandemic January 2019. This also represents a more than 5% increase over December 2023. The port maintains its status as number 2 in the country with respect to loaded cargo. At the bridges and tunnels, the Port Authority's 4 bridges and 2 tunnels continue to show strong volumes in February, with levels at or exceeding pre-pandemic levels, and PATH in February 24 continued at about 2/3 of 2019 levels. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We have a videotape, Ben?
Newark Liberty International Airport's new Terminal A has been awarded the prestigious 5-star rating from preeminent global airport evaluation firm Skytrax. This outstanding evaluation builds on Terminal A's growing list of accolades, including UNESCO Pre-Versailles Special Prize, LEED Gold certification from the U.S. Green Building Council, and the Project of the Year Award from the American Society of Civil Engineers New Jersey chapter. The coveted rating confirms Terminal A meets or exceeds global standards in its frontline service and customer experience. Completed in 2023, Terminal A now joins LaGuardia Airport's Terminal B as the only 2 airport terminals in North America and 2 of only 4 in the world awarded the highest rating by Skytrax. The facility features world-class passenger amenities, local artwork, children's play space, state-of-the-art digital technology, and dozens of local dining and retail options. Other unique passenger amenities include a sensory room that offers neurodivergent travelers and their families a calm space away from the bustle of the airport, and a children's lending library curated by a local 5th grader. The $2.7 billion project represented both the Port Authority's largest ever single investment in New Jersey and the state's largest design-build project. The terminal served 15 million passengers in its first year, greatly outperforming yearly passenger totals from the previous Terminal A. The next phase of the Port Authority's ongoing transformation of Newark Liberty International Airport will be developed through the work of a world-class airport master planner selected by the agency. The EWR Vision Plan, which will serve as a framework for future development through 2065, will incorporate plans for long-term economic growth, sustainability projects, and multimodal access to the airport for both work and travel. Visit www.anewewr.com for more information regarding the replacement of the new AirTrain Newark and other EWR redevelopment projects.
LaGuardia, and now Newark. 2 of the 4 in North America is just unthinkable, unimaginable, and now it's done. It's striking. The bar has now been set for Port Authority asset. We only go for the 5-star, state-of-the-art. Whether it's here, JFK is next, correct?
No pressure.
No pressure. But that's what we have come to expect from our people, laid by the foundation of Janet and others over the years. This is where we are going. It is amazing. We can't say enough, and we talk about it and we say, okay, one and done. No, this is something that really is a benchmark for the Port Authority for the last 103 years. That's what the people of New York and New Jersey and this region have come to expect. They've never received it, and now they're getting it, and that's all they want. And when people talk about going to Newark and they're having dinner there, they go to LaGuardia and have dinner, but when they land, that's part of the experience. That's amazing in so many ways. And part of that, and Sia, I want you to kind of stand up, Sia. Sia's idea was to put that library in Terminal A. She was in an Alaskan airport, and they had this library for loaning books out for people who were there. And she said, why can't we have this in New Jersey? True, Sia? So why don't you come up and go to the microphone. If your mom and dad want to join you, that's great too. Talk about what your motivation was to bring that library as we were putting this Newark Terminal A together.
Well, so I was on a trip to Alaska in 2021, and I remember seeing a library there, and I'm like, why don't we have this in our airport? Because I think New Jersey's busier than Alaska. And then I remember like a month later when I got back from that trip, I was sitting eating a bowl of cereal, and then
Cheerios.
Yeah, Cheerios. And then I'm like, wait, we still need this in our airport. So I went ahead, I contacted a lot of people from the Port Authority. One person responded. That's kind of how we took the whole idea. We kind of started like talking. Her name was Christina. She was really nice to us. She helped get all the approval. She thought it was a great idea. So she's like, okay, let's make this happen. So she started talking to everyone else. And in the meantime, I was like collecting books, like, because if this actually happens, because I was like, is this gonna happen? Or I don't know if they're like, I don't know. So I was collecting books in the meantime, and then they were getting like all the approvals and stuff. And then we were also talking to Home Depot. So when they were like, okay, this is gonna happen, we talked to Home Depot, my local Home Depot in East Hanover, New Jersey. We were talking to them, and then they were like, oh my goodness, this is such a good idea. We can donate, we can make it for you. We made the blueprints for them. They made it for us. They kind of showed us like where to put the letters, kind of paint it. And then they donated it to us, which was so nice of them. And then the soft launch, it happened a month ago. The actual media event was, I think, also like a few weeks ago, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, and I was so happy. Like, this has been such an amazing journey. I think the Port Authority was so nice. Like, yeah, this was so good.
Are you missing school today?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you missing school today?
Yeah, I am.
I feel awful now. So let's get a letter to Home Depot as well, first of all, and to the school. But you've collected, I think, 300, 400 books yourself, is that?
Wow.
Around 4,000 books, actually.
4,000?
There are some private donors, some people from schools. They're like, they all want to connect, and so far we have more than 4,000 books.
Wow. Is Christina here from the port?
I don't think Christina.
Do you have a list of the people who did not respond to you from the port? I'd like to know that. Dad, you want to say anything?
Yes, so thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the members of this board. We have been truly honored by, what SIA has done for the last, couple of years, and obviously without the support of Port Authority, this wouldn't have been possible, and we wouldn't have been standing here. Since this event, SIA, through her website, www.letsreadtoday.com, has collected over 4,000 books, talking to from private donors to local libraries, from public schools. It's been an overwhelming response. A common theme has been, how stressful traveling is, especially traveling with small children. And to add, the delays at the airport, it just adds to the stress. And with Sia's love of reading, we just hope that we can provide a book for every child in America. And this is truly a dream come true for her, and for our family. And we couldn't have done this without the support of Port Authority. The work doesn't stop here. We are hoping that this library would be able to expand to other airport terminals, B and C, and who knows, LaGuardia and JFK in the future. So looking forward to your support, and it's all Sia. Thank you.
You want to add something, Sia?
Yeah, so I want to say that my dad is right about everything.
Say that again. He's right about what? Everything?
Yeah, he's right about everything.
Dads don't hear that a lot, I tell you. My 24 is pretty, I think I heard that once in 24 years, yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to thank the whole Port Authority, the board, Mr. Chairman. This has been an incredible journey, and I'm so grateful for everyone who's helped me with this. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. So, first of all, thank you. I had, in the Star Ledger did a profile on you. Senator Ruiz, the majority leader in the Senate, came up to Rick and I and was talking about you. I spoke to your Senator, Senator John McKean this morning, very, very proud. You have gotten the attention of everybody, and you have, as Commissioner Eve said, just amazing poise and presence, and you've taught us all something. So you don't walk out here empty-handed. There's a couple of things we have for you. So if you don't mind, and the commissioners want to get up with Rick, we have some things to give away. So see you, come on over. If we can all grab this.
Okay. Oh, wow.
This. Now, the best thing, you get an autographed book from me and Rick Cotton. Present that to Sia. Let me just, hold on, I want all the commissioners to have something to give away, a certain thing. Let's see if we have enough here, there. Pass that along. Who's got a, who else? All right. George, you want a hat or a yo-yo? As a matter of fact, here, hold that as well.
Oh, nice.
All right. So let's all face the camera. We got a bunch of cool gifts. And then I want mom and dad in this as well after this.
How do we get a yo-yo?
Ask Janet. Doctor, no. Good? Mom and dad, why don't you join us? Let her stand with her mom and dad. Great. We're good? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What do you got?
I see you a future executive director of the Port Authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a cool one.
Yes.
What do you have, George?
See, we have a bag and a hat. This is all stuff we never got when we got on
Commissioner Bowles, what do you have?
If you don't want to keep this, I will. I heard you got books in my library.
That's Jack. Commissioner Richards, what do you have?
Stay hydrated.
Yeah,
right?
When
yes,
you're making
yes.
those speeches, have your water bottle.
Commissioner Cohen?
A humble notebook and a little pencil.
Oh, excited. Commissioner Kelly?
2 T-shirts.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna-
So you're
You got an
set.
armful, huh?
Yeah.
See you, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh, my goodness.
All righty. For our next order of business, we're going to call our Chief Development Officer, Derek Utter, present an item for the board's consideration that would authorize a memorandum of understanding with the City of New York covering payment in lieu of taxes related to the future commercial tower developments in Midtown, including 2 developments contemplated as part of the Midtown Bus Terminal Replacement Program. We'll defer voting till after we hear from the speakers. Derek?
All right. Thank you, Chairman. Back to business. I'll be quick, though. So as Executive Director Cotton mentioned, this conversation has a little bit of history going back a couple of years ago. The bus terminal, major project the Port Authority is preparing to launch. Back in 2019, we put out a plan to build in place. In 2021, based on input from New York City, commuters, local community boards, and the like, other elected officials, we expanded the project quite dramatically to add capacity for curbside intercity buses, the mega buses, the Bolt buses that pick up passengers on the street, but also to allow for a much larger facility for staging and storage of buses, which otherwise would park on city streets. In addition, we added 3.5 acres of publicly accessible open space on Port Authority property, which was a big request from the community. And we added new street-facing concessions and retail. So the new bus terminal will not turn its back on the community. In fact, it'll be open to the community. There'll be attractive facades, and we really want to make this an asset for the community, not the eyesore it is today. But that came at a cost. And so we entered into some negotiations with New York City to help defray that cost. And we asked at the time that they contribute pilots, which I'll explain in a moment, from the commercial office towers, which could be built near the bus terminal as a source of financing to help the bus terminal get built, the larger one. And what we're going to propose today is that we accept a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, that covers the use of these pilots that concludes this 3-year negotiation. So pilots, it's an acronym thrown around quite a bit. It means payment in lieu of taxes. Payment in lieu of taxes, a simple way to think about it, is essentially the property taxes that would get generated from this commercial building that would otherwise be paid to the city would instead be paid to the Port Authority. And it would allow us to collect those taxes and use that as a financing source for 40 years. It also includes the mortgage recording tax and sales tax. Those are much smaller components. So for 40 years, we would collect these taxes once these towers are constructed. After that, the pilots or the taxes would be revert to New York City. This tool was used to help fund Moynihan Trains Hall, which is a very successful example of an infrastructure project in New York City. And as I said, these pilots, however, are contingent upon demand for office buildings. And we do believe that Class A office space over time will continue to be in demand in New York City. So we have many years to build these. These will not be built day one. They'll be built over time. We are capped at 6 million square feet, but 6 million square feet is quite a bit of space. The current plan includes 2 towers above the main new bus terminal on 8th Avenue and a separate project that has independent utility south of the bus terminal on Port Authority and private property. So today's request is that we allow the executive director to enter into this memorandum of understanding with the city, which provides for the Port Authority to collect and retain these pilots for the 3 office towers for 40 years, and then to use these as a source of funding, a support of funding for the build-out of the bus terminal. And we will effectuate these pilot agreements with more specific agreements over time. We'll have the ability to do that. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Rick?
So, Mr. Chairman, I just want to repeat what I said in my report, which is that this is an example of really excellent cooperation between the Port Authority and the city. Want to publicly thank the mayor for his support, his administration's support of reaching this agreement. Thank the public officials, the elected officials who represent this, the district in which the Port Authority is located. It has been just a remarkable cooperative effort to bring us to today.
Rick, but for this, we wouldn't be moving ahead. I mean, if we didn't have this pilot, it's obviously a critical piece to the bus terminal. This has been over 3 years of very arduous, sometimes arduous negotiations by you, Derek, staff. Extraordinary result. And we want to thank the local elected leaders, community boards, all in New York here that have been part of this. Their unanimous support of this and working with you and working with our team really brought this to the top. I think but for that teamwork, I don't think we'd be having this conversation today. So congratulations to you, Rick, and to Derek and the hardworking Port Authority staff. This is 3 years plus in the making, and it's going to allow us to go forward with the state-of-the-art $10 billion bus terminal. Great work. Anybody want to speak before we go to our public session? Derek, thank you very much.
Thanks.
At this time, before we vote on the items today at the public, we're going to hear from our members of the public to comment on Port Authority matters. The public comment period, which may be limited to 30 minutes, allows for the members of the public to present their views directly to the board, not necessarily a dialogue. And those people who have specific questions should reach out to our Port Authority staff, who will be here afterwards, and we can contact our Public Affairs Department, and we can have a one-on-one discussion on very specific concerns. Is Christopher here, or did he leave at 1:15?
No, he had to leave. He had another engagement.
Okay. Sorry about that, Christopher. Our next speaker is Murray Bowden. Hey, Murray.
Well, today was the reason that everybody should be going back to the office. The number of interactions there, all over, could not have happened over Zoom. There were dozens. I've been here for over 2 hours just watching. How many people talked to how many other people, person to person, gave them a hug, made appointments. And that's the most important thing that happened here today. The reason that people should be going back to the office, because problems get solved face to face. You get to see your person, never happened on Zoom. So I had prepared remarks about this, that, and the other thing, none of which is as important as getting back to the office. You're facilitating it. You're building transportation, things that will make it easier to get there. But it has to be well known that coming back to the office, meeting face to face, solves problems that never will be solved anywhere else. The leadership that you and Rick have provided created an atmosphere of cooperation. It's amazing. And I want all people, not just you and not here, but anybody watching, to understand how important it is that personal relationships are the way to get a job done. Thank you for creating that atmosphere. You had a lot to do with it.
Thank you, Murray.
You go around and you meet people and you engage. I've told you that years ago. You do it more so and better. And it's a pleasure to have worked with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray. Much appreciated. Is Kevin Brown here? No? Okay. Juanita Dingles? Juanita? And after Juanita, we're here from Carla. Is Carla Thomas here? Yes. Great. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Juanita Dingle. I work at the GWB Bridge. I am currently, excuse me, let me start all over.
That's okay.
A little nervous.
Don't be nervous. Come on.
Good afternoon. My name is Juanita Dingle. I'm a security agent at the GWB Bridge. I work at the port site for 14 years, and for the past 8 years, I work at the GWB. I'm currently employed by Wisdom Security. It's about 30 of us who's employed by Wisdom Security. About a few months ago, me and my coworker found out that Port Authority is ending the contract with Wisdom Security and bringing security in-house, bringing security work in-house. As of March 31st, me and my coworkers, we will be laid off. Only a few of us was given the opportunity to work with the port. My coworkers and I show up to work every day with experience to make the public safe. It takes a new security agent about a year to learn the in and out of the bridge. And we don't understand why the port want to throw all of that experience away. We are calling on the port to give the Wisdom Security agents a job to give us the chance to prove ourselves for all the years that we have done already. Wisdom Security is a small security agent that only have a few jobs to offer us for those who are laid off. And with that being said, we don't know if our benefits going to be cut, our wages going to be cut. We don't know how far the job is going to be for our home. I'm a person who frequently goes to the doctor. I take medication, and if I lose my health care, I don't know how I will be able to afford my medication. And my coworkers is in the same situation as myself. They also have children and family who rely on the health insurance from the GWB Bridge. My coworker and I have served the Port Authority for many years. It's not right for the port to make us lose our job and our benefits. And it's not because we've done anything. This is the port responsibility, and it's time for the port to take responsibility. Please do something about this now before we all get laid off on May 31st. And with that being said, thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Juanita. And let me just say, and we don't normally engage, we hear what you're saying. We've had conversations. We've directed our HR folks to see what they can do to make sure they can try to take care of those folks who've taken care of us. You're part of our Port Authority family, so we'll have a future discussion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Juanita, thanks for coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Carla, Thomas?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Carla Thomas, and I just wanted to start off to say I'm very proud of what I witnessed today. Ms. Janet, congratulations on your retirement. I think that was a very important thing to do and for public to see how the work that's being done at Port Authority. But with that being said, Ms. Dingles had addressed her concerns with her job, and that's why I'm here as well. I represent the workers who work at George Washington Bridge. So just to be clear, my name is Carla Thomas. I am the Director for Security for SEIU Local 32BJ in Newark, New Jersey. I stand before the Port Authority today in reference to the 34 senior officers who have been protecting the George Washington Bridge. Like Juanita said, all these officers has been protecting over the bridge for many years, leading to some folks who's been there almost 20 years at this location. I just wanted to correct Juanita's statement. She said May 31st. It's actually March 31st that they will be losing their job. That's less than 2 weeks away from today. Our job here today is just speak on behalf of these workers and hope that the Port Authority would address this matter that's facing these workers. Not only the fact that they're full-time employees who will then stand to lose their wages, are also standing to lose their benefits that most of them have pre-existing condition that they're also dealing with. We all know that this is a very important job, like Juanita mentioned earlier, that the work that they do is not just an easy job. It takes training, and it takes a long time to get to understand the work. It takes more than a year or so for folks to be really comfortable in order to make this a feasible job. These officers have, like I said, decades of collective experience. They know how to keep the public safe because they have been doing this precisely for many years. It takes new security officers, like I said, about a year or so to try to actually complete their full training. 32BJ is calling on the Port Authority to offer jobs to all of our Wisdom security guards and give them a chance to prove themselves. Wisdom Protective Services is a small company, like Juanita mentioned, and does not have the ability to absorb 34 workers into jobs at full-time and with benefits. Given the decades of services these officers have provided for the port, it would be deeply wrong for them to lose their jobs and the benefits. This is the Port Authority responsible, like Juanita mentioned, and it's time for the Port Authority to take responsibility. And I appreciate your response, Ms. O'Dell, on giving her that we will meet on discussing this. I thank you guys for giving us the opportunity today to speak on behalf of the 34 workers who stand to lose their job in 2 weeks. Thank you and appreciate it.
Thank you, Carla. And I'm going to meet with Kevin Brown tomorrow at 11 o'clock to follow up, and we are very much concerned, and if something can be done, I assure you we will do it.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Right.
Have a good day, guys.
Right. We have one video and no written comments. We have a video.
That's correct. Matty Bucky's Highland.
Can we play the video, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. For today's topic, I'm going to speak. I want to first give a big thank you to the chairman, executive director, and the director of aviation for getting the kids safely onto an airplane from my old high school to attend a cheer competition. And I would ask everybody for the April 25th board meeting to wear blue in support of autism awareness. I hope everyone would I encourage everyone to do that. Thank you very much, and may God bless each and every one of you. I'll turn it back over to the Mr. Chairman, Kevin O'Toole.
Thank you. And Jim, can we make sure that we have blue for, I would love to have the board members have that. That's Autism Month.
I'll send out a reminder.
Great, thank you. We'll now proceed with the voting on items. Each of the respective committee chairs will provide a brief report prior to each of the matters being considered. As chair of the Committee on Operations, I will now present 3 items before the committee's purview. This item, as presented earlier with our Chief Development Officer, authorized a memorandum of understanding with the City of New York covering the allocation of payments in lieu of taxes to the Port Authority for 3 future commercial office developments in Midtown Manhattan, 2 of which are proposed as part of the Midtown Bus Terminal replacement. Prior to making a motion, I ask the Corporate Secretary if there's any recusals.
There are no recusals.
Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Motion, please. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
He's a yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe is a yes as well.
Yes, he confirmed his affirmative vote on all the items.
Yep. Just want to be clear for the record. Thank you very much. Votes are in order. Item's been approved. The next item approves a collective bargaining agreement with the Communications Workers of America, which represents about 174 Port Authority civilian supervisory employees. The agreement is for a 38-month term as ratified by the union members on February 26, 2024. Prior to making a motion, do we have any recusals from the commissioners?
There are no recusals.
Any commissioners have a question or comment? Motion, please.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
LaBarbera and McCabe are yeses.
That's correct.
The next item approves a collective bargaining agreement with the Union of Automotive Technicians, which represents 104 employees, civilian crafts such as auto mechanic and other. This agreement was ratified by the union members on March 16, 2024. It's for a 12-month period. Do we have any recusals?
There are no recusals.
Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Motion, please.
Move.
Second. Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
And Commissioner LaBarbera and McCabe have filed their affirmative votes.
Yes, thank you very much. The votes are in order. Items approved. As Vice Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, I'll present and report on 2 items. The first item, as presented in the committee earlier today, authorized a $160 million project for the development of a now at-grade public airport access facilities and a ground transport hub at Newark Liberty International Airport Link Station, Rail Link Station. The project will provide improved public access to the airport. Prior to making a motion, do we have any recusals?
There are no recusals.
Any questions? Motion, please.
Motion.
Second. Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
And Commissioner LaBarbera and McCabe have filed their affirmative votes.
Great. Next item authorizes a project for the rehabilitation of runway 4L22 right at the Newark Liberty International Airport to maintain the runway in state of good repair at a total cost of approximately $134 million. Do we have any commissioner recusals?
There are no recusals.
Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Motion, please.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera and McCabe filed their affirmative votes.
Thank you. Votes in order. Item's been approved. Now turn to Commissioner Eve, Vice Chair of the Audit Committee, who will provide a report on the item before the board for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to its authority under the bylaws and its charter, the members of the Audit Committee have reviewed and approved the Port Authority's financial statements and appended notes for the year ended December 31st, 2023. As such, the committee recommends to the board that the financial statements be included in the Port Authority's 2023 annual report and other publications as appropriate. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
There are no recusals required.
Do any commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on this item. Motion, please. Second. I now request the Secretary to call the roll for voting on this matter.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosado?
Yes.
And Commissioner
Sorry.
LaBarbera, McCabe.
Commissioner LaBarbera and McCabe have also filed their affirmative votes.
And as the votes are in order, this item is approved.
Thank you very much. Before we adjourn, just want to note we're probably going to have a very short special meeting virtual next week, Rick, Thursday-ish.
I think we're targeting Thursday.
Dealing with Red Hook for the Red Hook approval. That should be short, and you'll have notification will go out probably by Monday or so. No further business. Move to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. We'll see everyone next week, and we'll see everybody in April. Thank you.